Hey guys, my name is Andrew, we're watching Talk Slay Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the top Pioneer decks in February 2021. What we're going to be doing today is talk about the top meta decks and my list for what I think is going to be the top of Pioneer from here on out until the meta starts to shift a little bit more, and I will unfortunately have to update this video. What I want to do is talk about these decks because I know that there's a lot of people who are going to be flocking to Pioneer in the next couple of weeks. Since I've played plenty of Pioneer, I wanted to give you guys a rough idea of what has been successful up to this point, what is to be expected as to, you know, kind of be contesting for the tier 1 spot, even if, you know, some deck that we don't really know of starts to get back up there in the top of the format. But before we get into the rest of the video, I just want to quickly mention who our sponsor is today, and that is ManaTraders.com. With online Magic being the best option to play Magic right now, it's no surprise that many Magic the Gathering players are wanting to find an affordable way to get into Magic Online. And ManaTraders is the best way to do that. Instead of buying, you can rent Magic cards that you need through their rental service based on a subscription plan that you get when you sign up. For as little as $10 a month, you can save hundreds of or even thousands of dollars by renting cards that you need rather than buying them, and return them whenever you want. No more worrying about the next ban list, and no more worrying about your cards being power crept into obscurity. With ManaTraders, you can keep up with the meta while also saving money. They also run a monthly tournament on Magic Online where you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars by playing every single month. And they play a variety of different formats like Modern, Pioneer, Standard, and much, much more. Also, if you use our coupon code TLG33_T5M, that's TLG33_T5M, you could save 15% off when you sign up. So thank you to ManaTraders, and thank you so much for watching the video. Starting with number 5, this is a deck that I haven't really talked about a whole lot on the channel, and that is going to be Rakdos Pyromancer. This is a Kroxa Pyromancer style deck that's just trying to outgrind your opponent. It's basically like the Jund of Pioneer, where you're just trying to play your Thoughtseizes, play your, you know, Pyromancers, and try to outgrind your opponent and win the game that way. They're the kind of like 40% win rate kind of decks. It's definitely a really powerful deck. It's decent right now because the meta isn't very defined. So you kind of want to stick with things that are very consistent, like the mid-range, like the aggro, and kind of stay away from things like control and combo. Control, for example, you know, is better when it's a more defined meta where you can build around it, and combo is a lot better when you know what you have to play around so that you can make your combo work out. What we're talking about today with Rakdos Pyromancer is basically a deck that across the board has a very good kind of plan for what you're going to be facing regardless of whatever comes out of the meta. But yeah, that's what I have at number 5 on my list. And coming in at number 4 is a deck that I love putting on my tier list. It's a very, very powerful deck. It's a Loris deck, and that is going to be Mono Black Aggro. So the thing about Mono Black Aggro, it's your, you know, your typical Rankle, Thoughtseize style deck where you're just trying to win very fast. You know, you have your Castle Locthwains, your Fatal Pushes, your Heartless Axe, trying to grind out your opponent if it gets to that later game. The reason why I like this style deck better than like a burn style deck is because Mono Black Aggro is really good against a lot of the up-and-coming kind of combo decks because of those Thoughtseizes, whereas something like a burn has to race against them. And I personally like my like this style deck especially. One of my favorite parts about Mono Black is its ability to recur its resources instead of trying to like outrace them by playing, you know, a bunch of burn spells, or trying to like for example the auras deck, trying to put a bunch of auras onto one thing, put all your eggs in one basket, and trying to kill your opponent really quickly. This deck is really good at, you know, playing around a bunch of removal. So, for example, you have Scrap Heap Scrounger, you have your, you know, Bloodsoaked Champions, you know, your you know, creatures that, you know, can not only attack and get in some damage, but if they face removal, can still come back and still be a threat. It's not really more complicated than that. It's just your regular mono black aggro. So yeah, that's why I have mono black aggro as my number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3 is one of my favorite decks of all time, and that is going to be Spirits. So Spirits, more specifically the Azorius Spirits. I know there is a Spirits list that plays Simic, but personally, I like the Azorius build. Now, the reason why I love it so much is because of one card that came not too long ago, but more recently is very, very good in Pioneer in specific, and that is Lofty Denial. So being able to flash in a lot of your spirits and then hold up a Lofty Denial while attacking your opponent in the air, which is very important that it's in the air, over and over again, it's just incredibly powerful. Pioneer has some of the best spirits available to you. You have your Supreme Phantoms, you have your Spell Queller, you have your Mausoleum Wanderers. I think with the ability of Lofty Denial being able to hold up interaction at the same time as being able to attack in the air over and over again, killing your opponent, is just so powerful, especially in Pioneer, that I think it warrants being at the top 3 at the very least in the format. And I think that this deck just gets better and better as time goes on, because we're just getting more spirits being printed. And yeah, I think it's going to be like the Humans of the Pioneer format, like Humans is to Modern, where the more of the tribe it gets printed, the better it gets, and the more consistent it gets as well. That's why I have Azorius Spirits as my number 3 on my list. Coming in at number 2, I will say that this number 2 and number 1 could be really interchangeable. It could be either this or the number 1 spot, but I particularly like this at number 2, and that is Mono Green Planeswalkers. This deck is just everywhere. Everybody has been playing it for a while. This is your typical Vivien, Genesis Hydra, Voracious Hydra kind of deck, where you're just trying to play big things, put a lot of mana into your devotion to green, and try to win with not only Nissa but Vivien as well, and just try and go over the top against your opponents. This deck was actually pretty good even with the combo decks and the more unfair decks in the format, but now with those out of the way, I think definitely, along with the number 1 on the list, going to be one of the most popular and most powerful lists available to us in the Pioneer format, and that is why I have it at number 2 on my list. And coming in at number 1 on my list is going to be Niv to Light. Now, I know what you're thinking. No Teferi, no Uro. How in the world is this deck still number 1? Here's why I think so. So, Niv to Light, as an archetype, is very resilient to, I think, the ban list, I think. And the reason why is because the archetype in of itself has so many options when it comes to multicolored cards, especially in Pioneer, that I think that losing that still is relatively okay, especially when, if you remember, on the ban list, the only thing that they changed when it came to the Valki, rework of the rules was the interaction with Cascade, not with Valki itself. So Bring to Light still works with Valki. So if you Bring to Light, you only have to do blue and green. You can go from Bring to Light into the 7 mana Planeswalker in the same turn, and I think that is good enough in of itself to still keep it at the top of the list. We still have plenty of powerful cards in the 5 colors. We have, Golos. We still have Omnath. You have to remember, we still have Omnath. We still have Nahiri. We still have the new Nissa coming from Zendikar. We still have, plenty of powerful cards. And although, yes, losing Uro, losing Teferi really hinders its power, I think that what we're going to find is a lot more resilient than people think. And I don't think people should discredit this deck quite yet. It's possible that this could be number 2 on the list and not number 1, but I definitely wanted to keep this at number 1 because this is the one that I'm most convinced as far as staying at the top of the format. This is all subject to change. I think that at some point, there's going to be a new deck that we don't know about, maybe like a Winota or something like that, that might come up at the top of the list, and no one's gonna know about it until it already happens. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate if you like, comment, subscribe, like I said before. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.